What
Do
do
you
you
want to take
Adrex?
point? I was gonna say, do you want to take point on this, Red, or?
I don't speak the language.
He's the only one who speaks Orcish.
He's
They're
speaking common.
common.
The captain is
Oh,
talking
oh.
in common.
That's why. Otherwise, yes, I would have.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, what?
So, Red will bow low, formally, and he'll say, there's nothing in particular. They're just interested in, perhaps, a negotiation of slightly more advantageous terms for the tribute, and by no means ending the tribute.
He says they would have to be pretty damn stupid to end the tribute.
I agree.
And he says he's known some really stupid lizard men in his day.
Fair point, but not the leader of these lizard men.
He wants to clarify, he's eaten some very stupid lizard men in his day.
Well, I hope they taste better than they think.
He walks over to the wagon you guys pulled in and starts rooting around in it. And he barks some orders to one of his orcs, which carries some of the raw fish they've packed up over to the fire. Cook them up fresh.
Birdie squeaks, try the gumbo, it's pretty good.
Wendy very solemnly nods.
He asks why Huyan believes she's in a position to renegotiate the terms of their truce.
The situation has changed. It's nothing that either group has done. It's simply that the world is a dynamic place, and right now you have another potential common enemy she'd like to find out what you know about.
He says he's listening.
How much do you know about the raids recently that have been carried out near and around the lake? And also any, in particular, any that leave sigils on the ground, I believe is usually the MO, is it not? And I'll look to my companions.
Sigils?
And you see his face sours at the mention of it. He says, fortunately, me and mine are too clever to be caught unawares by that sort of trickster. Has she captured this demon?
No, she was interested in perhaps an exchange of information, perhaps an alliance to fight against them.
Here's all the information
suspicion on who
Huyan
it might be.
Oh, you're telling him that she knows who it is?
I said she suspects who it might be.
At that, his ears perk up. And he walks back over to his tent. And he picks up his large butcher's blade off the ground, which is essentially like a long, thin meat cleaver the size of a long sword. And he starts making a show of running his whetstone along the length of it, sending sparks to the ground. And he says that he will hear any information that the she-scale has about these murders.
She suspects it's envoys of her father attempting to assert dominance over this part of the world, which wouldn't be good for either of you.
So is this a lie that Red is trying to sell, or does Red believe this to be true?
That was my understanding. Maybe I missed something, though.
You're saying the guy who committed the Kobold murders is...
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
It's fine if this is the story you want to sell.
Give me a second here to think about it.
Okay, what are the rest of you guys doing as Red is talking in this camp? Where's your guys' attention being drawn?
Hold on, give me a second. Updating.
I'm not very impressed with their cookery techniques.
They just literally put a stick through this fish and they're holding it over the fire. That's his... One of them hasn't even done that. One of them is just eating the fish raw.
It's a good thing that Raazu is wearing gloves and mail over her hands because the knuckles gripping her halberd are very white.
The lesser orcs in the camp, not the captain, but the lesser orcs for sure, regard Raazu very, very carefully. A hobgoblin striding into the center of their camp. These loot piles, by the way, these are mostly food that they've just pillaged from the countryside. What's Birdie doing back there?
Birdie's just hanging out next to Raazu because he doesn't like orcs. Like he figures that if stuff goes down, he wants to be by Raazu.
All right. So what I'll actually say, the non-cipher bonus here is,
Okay.
She suspects that they might have been attracted by pillaging scouting groups sent here by her father, and that her father is planning to move against this area, which wouldn't be good for either of you.
He says that the butchers have no real stake in this area, and that if it... Well, to clarify, first of all, you mentioned at all that her father's a dragon.
Do they not know that?
You get the sense that he doesn't know much of anything about Yuan personally, except that... make an insight check, actually.
Sure.
Let's see if you see through his facade.
Has he said his name yet?
No, he has not said his name yet.
He's not. Okay.
He's orc.
He's orky.
That would be a 16.
He's presenting this facade of being very disinterested in Yuan personally. But you get the sense, while you're talking to him, that there's more to his interest than just this tribute.
Okay. No, Fred will counter that with, well, I mean, you might not have any direct stakes, but some good fish, and it doesn't require a lot of effort on your part to get. You clearly like the agreement, since you're, somewhat obviously and correctly at ease if I talk about maybe ending it. So, the lake gets overrun, and that's the end of the tribute.
He says, if it were up to him. And in this moment, it sort of is, being the patrol nearest to Shallow Scale Lake. He says if it were up to him, he would do anything in his power to make sure that this tribute continues. As his patrol and the other captains in this area subside on the fat of the Shallow Scale tribute. However, to renegotiate in the manner that you're speaking, he's going to have to go back to his superiors. He's going to have to go back and speak to the man himself. And in order to facilitate that sort of transition, you might have to sweeten the pot.
My ears are open.
Again, do you have ears?
He has, snake ears, so no, he doesn't have, He has a hood, it's fine.
He motions over to the Mockton. So, this will be the first instance. Is anybody going to spend their free language slot on Mockton at this point?
No.
Okay. He motions over to them. He walks over to the pen, and as he does, the young one especially presses himself as far back against this pen as he possibly can, as the captain kind of leans down in front of it, runs his giant cleaver back and forth across the metal of the pen. He says that they caught these 3 fat, succulent creatures in the wilderness nearby. He says it's the damnedest thing. His scouts go out. They report that they find this crystal clear stream with 2 wonderfully built and well-maintained bridges over them, but no village, no town in sight. And these 3 were caught nearby. At this point, you hear the man in the pen say something through his bruised and bloodied mouth in a language none of you understand. To which the captain simply snickers in response.
Do you have anyone who speaks their language?
He says he doesn't recognize their grunts and squeals as a language, and he would look down on anybody who does. However, if they have a burrow or a den, or a village nearby, he would certainly love to know where it is. Don't get me wrong, the gifts that you've brought, the tribute that you've brought from Shallow Scale are ample indeed. But a large number of these succulent things. That would sway my bosses very much in Huyan's favor.
Adrex can't contain just how distressed he's looking.
Red can, but only because he has a good deception bonus.
What's everybody else's reaction to this development?
Like, actual reaction in his head? In her head, rather? Wendy's thinking, okay, so we try to convince this guy that we'll find this village for him. We take these guys with us. We find the village. We kill all the orcs. That fulfills mission number 2, where the orcs are no longer a problem. Then we get these guys to work with us. That fulfills mission number 3. That's 2 for the price of 1. And we get to kill these orcs.
So Wendy's just doing all this math in her head.
Yeah.
He has the general location where he found these bridges, where his men located the 3 Moakton who were out and about. He says if you can deliver to him the exact location of the village, so that he and his orcs may go through and do what they do best. And he rubs his hands together and looks very, very hungry when he says that. Then he will absolutely deliver any terms Huyan deems necessary to his superiors. And that she can count on the butchers in the field when the time comes.
I'm going to speak up loudly
Okay.
in a whisper to Red. And I'm going to say, Red, I'm worried we won't be able to find the village without at least one of those. Can you get one for us?
So you're trying to act like you're whispering, and you want him to think he's overhearing
I'm
it?
acting like I'm saying this to Red,
Mm-hmm.
but like not loud enough so that everyone can hear, but not that I'm saying it to the others.
But you do want the captain to hear this.
Yes.
Okay, make a
And Red will-
deception check. Charisma
You got
deception. What's Red's response?
Red will respond in very much the same way. Look, I'm not a miracle worker. I can talk people down sometimes. So Red is also doing the same thing.
Okay, make that deception check at advantage then.
All right, I'm going to take
Hold
that
on.
18.
Prompto is singing. Okay, he's done. Go ahead.
That's a 19.
A 19?
Yeah.
The captain looks at the two of you, then looks back at the 2 Moakton, then back at you guys.
Perhaps if we could... Well, it would be difficult, and I realize this puts you out a bit, but if we could have even just one of them, and I don't have a lot to bargain with here, unfortunately, since we've already given you the tribute, it would make it easier to find. We might be able to do something to communicate with their grunts. I know that's asking a lot, and I'm not sure that it's feasible. But we could potentially even get some more tribute from the shallow scale along the way if it's between here and there.
He seems to
That's
mull this...
tentative, and I don't want you to think that I'm going back on my word if I can't. I'm just saying again, I've put most of my goodwill into the tribute here, so I don't have a lot more to offer for this, but try and work with me here.
He says that he can't in good conscience give you one of his slaves. But he might be persuaded to sell one. Then he looks over Red's shoulder towards Raazu, who is standing there just hiding behind a shell of her contempt.
Yep.
And he barks at you in remarkably good Hobgoblin. And he asks how many orcs you've slain in the field.
None yet.
So you're a virgin Hobgoblin. He says he doesn't like the taste of virgins. He says that he has a mind to bloody you up. Then he turns back to Red. He says he'll make you a deal. If you can show his men some sport, if your Hobgoblin can put a mark on 4 of his men in single combat. He'll give you the child to take with you.
I'm gonna use my rune granted cantrip to send a message to Raazu.
Okay.
You all right with that?
Now you do have to point at her to do that. That's the somatic component.
Her, and he's going to ask. To be clear, we are speaking of her, pointing to her, and that's when he's going to cast the message.
Right. Okay.
Finger guns. Hey.
Raazu just nods.
Okay. Raazu, make a wisdom check.
$14.
14. You think that was high enough?
Possibly.
What he wants you to do... I don't want to delete Thetikes' stat block. Let's not do that. We might use him again at some point.
Level him up.
Yeah, you got some zombies.
He starts calling some of his orcs over. And there is some cheering and hooting and hollering amongst them. They're banging weapons against their shield as they rally around. They move this loot pile out of the way. They shove it all to the side, just bowl it over. So they give you all this space to work with. Let's go ahead and put yourself in the center of the loot pile. Where the loot pile was.
Loot pile, loot pile.
And he calls 4 of these orcs out. And they arm themselves with these butcher blades. In no uncertain terms, what he's asking you to do is bloody each of these orcs. You've got to put a mark on all of them. In a typical situation, if this was a hobgoblin asking this, he would be very put out if you were to murder any of them. But this is an orc. If you happen to hack one of their heads off, probably they'll look the other way on it. Alright, roll initiative.
Sure. That's not great.
Nah, they didn't do great either, so... And to be perfectly clear, the rest of you can roll initiative if you want, but if you take actions in this combat, it's going to get real ugly real fast. But
I mean, I'm going to roll initiative just because, let's be real here. It's best to have your options open.
Yeah. You can assume I'm passing on my turn, but just in
Yeah,
case.
okay.
Exactly.
Like, I'll let you know if I don't want to pass.
I'll let you know if I need to act
Yeah.
on my turn.
ahead
You don't
and
have to ask me.
Put yourself on the board.
You should ask Adrex. From time to time.
Makes him feel good about
Well-
himself. Like people need him.
Let me ask you this then, because one of my new maneuvers is rally,
Mm-hmm.
which is on your turn you can use a bonus action, spend a superiority die to bolster the resolve of one of your companions. I'm assuming you're going to roll that as a hostile action.
I'll tell you what, that's a bonus action.
Mm-hmm.
As an action, on that same turn, I'll let you make a deception check, and if you pass the DC, they won't notice what you're doing. Because what you're doing is standing on the sideline, rallying your ally.
I mean, I was actually going to suggest doing the same with my ability to give advantage as a bonus action.
So anybody who wants to do something like that, I'll let you spend an action, you making a deception check, to see if you can
Okay.
weave some mechanical bonus into cheering Raazu on. Really,
I'll wait to
you know,
see how the fight goes, but
Yeah, exactly.
I
So-
feel
We'll see how
like
this goes.
I feel like that one scene in Breath of Fire 3 where you have to train the guy up to beat up the big burly guy.
he looks the other way, and that's when you can throw shit at him.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
Raazu, this coin has 2 sides. They're not going to have any problem with killing you either, if it happens that way. And I feel like last time you had a PC in one of my games fight in a combat arena.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, well, I'll tell you what. That's going to put us up at the top. So, Birdie, you're not doing anything in this combat yet?
No.
And we're skipping Red, and we're skipping Windy. Well, Red, did you want to try to influence
yet.
things? Okay.
we'll see how this plays out first.
Okay, then. Right now, Raazu, you've got these 4 guys coming around. They're coming towards you. These are the ones that he's authorized to jump in. You see the 2 Orogs at this point have woken up and taken interest in the fight. He's got his other 2 orcs standing on the side, and the wargs are all barking and howling at the end, but none of the other ones have advanced on you yet.
I mean, I'm going to be pretty disappointed if Raazu can't take these 4 orcs. Let's be honest here.
We'll see.
It's forks.
I will take a swipe at this guy on the east, close to the Orog.
Okay, roll it.
How does a... Oh boy. Here we go. How does an 8 do?
An 8's not going to do it.
Okay, then how about a 9, 10, 11, 12?
12's not going to do it either.
Well, shit.
He sidesteps deftly out of the way, and your halberd gets buried in the grass. Adrex.
Free action to bite his lip.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
it.
I think we're all going like,
And the orcs all step in. It's a good thing they don't have pack tactics.
We also saw this going differently, I think.
Okay. First one swings wide. Second one glances off your halberd. Third one hits an AC of 15.
Nope.
Last one hits an AC of 16.
Still no.
Okay, so the first 2 miss entirely as they all close in and start circling around you. And you're managed to hold your own, dance in place. Is anybody doing anything before it comes back to Raazu?
No.
All right. Raazu, show us how it's done.
Hit them this time.
Use the pointy end.
I need... I'm going to assume for the purposes of this combat that only the four orcs are hostile.
I mean, they're orcs. You can probably assume all of them are hostile, but these 4 are the only ones attacking you at the moment. It's definitely not a... Let's put it this way. Hobgoblins are lawful evil by nature. Orcs are chaotic evil by nature. If you don't play this...
I can choose each creature of my choice within 30 feet. Okay. I need all 4 of these orcs to make wisdom saving throws, please.
Okay.
Oh, that's not
Please,
their thing.
One of them made it. The other 3 failed badly.
The 3 that failed, I'm going to say... this one that's closer to the boss
Okay.
passed. The other 3, they are feared for 1 minute. They are frightened. They are frightened of me for 1 minute.
Okay. Do they have additional effects on that fear, or it's just straight up like they get disadvantage on attacking you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Raazu starts chanting a hobgoblin war cadence as she brandishes her weapon.
Okay. And the 3 orcs you see begin kind of shaking and exchanging glances, and like this is not the kind of pushover hobgoblin they're accustomed to meeting in the field. And then Adrex, you hear the captain yell from the sidelines, and his arms are crossed, and he's just watching the situation with this big smug grin on his face. He calls out to them, speaking in Orc, saying, "Don't listen to her, men. She's a virgin by her own admission." Are you moving or staying put there?
Can't really move.
Adrex, you want to do something?
How do you know that?
Because you said you might
No.
do something? Nothing?
No, that's what Adrix says to the boss.
Oh.
How do you know she's a virgin? That's all he does.
All right, I got to roll a bunch of disadvantage here.
You do.
That adds extra dice to roll.
First one misses. Second one misses. Third one misses. The last one hits an AC. How long does the fear last?
1 minute, and they get to make it. They get to repeat the save at the end of the turn.
Okay. Last one is going to hit an AC of 22.
That hits.
And after exchanging several blows and throwing several more aside with the halberd, one of them finally bites you with the cleaver for 5 points of slashing damage.
Sure.
It's going to take us back to the top of the order. Is anybody else... Oh, I'm going to remake their saves here. Is anybody else getting in on this?
Nah.
One of them passed the save, so 2 of them
Okay.
are feared for the next bout. All right, Raazu.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead before on my action, actually, and try and do the deception to give Raazu advantage attacking this one.
Okay. What are you using to give advantage?
My mastermind ability.
Right, but what's it called?
Oh, let me find it.
Remember, I'm not knowledgeable about any of these new Xanathar classes.
Yeah,
so
and
I'm learning as I go.
And this character sheet is awful, so it'll take me a minute.
I feel like every time you say that, Nodal dies a little.
Gonna fight him.
Okay, click there, and then click...
Oh, I found out where you can put Silvered in.
Oh, nice. I need that. I'll ask you later. Master of Tactics, which is a class feature at 3rd level for the rogue.
Okay, go ahead and make that deception check. Let's see if he knows what you're doing.
That'd be a 10.
A 10?
Do I have belief points right now? I think I have blips. I should probably just blip that.
Okay.
Let me get my... Yeah, let's spend 2 blips and reroll that.
Flip that guy.
That would be a 15.
A 15. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what exactly do you do to grant this advantage?
It's the help action, so basically it would typically be distracting them, so it's going to be like, which one is currently not feared?
This one over here. She feared
Okay,
the
and it
other
can be
two.
anything within 30 feet because of the abilities. I'm like, come on! You know that one isn't... Show that one what you're made of!
Okay. And no, it doesn't look like the captain has twigged to what you're doing. All right, Raazu, you're up. And you have one guy that you can attack with advantage.
Absolutely gonna do that. How does a 15 do?
15 will hit.
Pleased to enjoy 7 points of damage.
Okay. And you open up a wound across his arm that looks like it's stacked on top of another wound that he suffered previously. So you've blooded one of these 4 orcs. That doesn't mean he's backing off, though. Adrex, you doing anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay. So now I'm only rolling disadvantage for 2 of these orcs.
Yep.
How about I not roll a d12 to hit you?
I'm okay with that.
So the first one misses. The second one hits AC 15.
Nope.
Third one, all 4 of them missed then. So you are having just no difficulty keeping up, even surrounded on all sides. And I mean, you feel yourself starting to get winded as you're whipping your halberd in all directions, knocking aside these heavy cleavers everywhere. Anybody else before Raazu comes back around?
No, she seems to be handling herself okay now.
Okay, let me go ahead and... Another one saves the fear, so there's only one more guy who's afraid. And he looks like he's afraid because he saw that big gash he just opened up on his friend's arm.
Alright. I thought fear meant that they couldn't, like, take it, or no, they attack at disadvantage. That's right.
Sometimes the additional fear, it says something like they can't attack the source of their fear, or they have to move away from it. But that's not the case with your...
Yeah, no, it doesn't. No. Okay, so I will go ahead and whip across on this one, close to the captain.
Okay.
Slash at him for, that'll be 19 to hit.
That'll hit.
He will be taking 9 points of damage.
Okay. And you've blooded 2 of the 4 orcs. As you catch this one on the side of his head and cleave half of his ear away. But he's an orc. He had too much ear to begin with.
It's true.
Adrex, you stepping in on this?
Mm-mm.
Staying out of it.
He's okay.
All right. I've got a 16.
Nope.
That was the one with advantage. Next one's going to miss. Next one's going to miss. Then I've got a 21.
That'll hit.
For 8 points of slashing damage. As the second cleaver finds purchase. Let's give your allies a chance to step in, and then we'll come back around to your turn.
She's doing pretty well.
Everything seems fine.
Adrex. Oh,
No, it's you.
you're after me.
Adrex is after
That's
you.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm gonna go after the north guy now.
Okay.
That's another 19 to hit,
That'll hit.
and he will be taking only a glancing blow of 4 points of damage.
4 points. It's enough to draw blood. Now Adrex can decide if he wants to step in. No?
Yeah.
Okay, what are you going to do?
He's going to make a deception in order to get Raazu to rally.
Okay, what does
And
Rally
one of
do?
his-
That's a
I will tell
Battlemaster?
you. Yeah. On your turn, you can use a bonus action and expend 1 superiority die to bolster the resolve of one of your companions. When you do so, choose a friendly creature who can see or hear you. That creature gains temporary hit points equal to the superior die roll plus my charisma.
Okay.
That's actually quite
So-
helpful.
Yeah. So
That rally's really good.
I think Khalil used that at some point.
that is a 20 on deception.
That's way over his insight, so you've got that.
All right.
All right, give me that D6, D4, something like that.
D8.
D8.
Get... But my charisma modifier is +3, so I get 5 temp HP.
Okay.
And Adrex puts his fingers in his mouth and he whistles.
So you start hearing
Sure.
Dragonborn cat calls from the sidelines.
Cheering Raazu on.
All right, one of them still feared. He's the feared one misses. This one is going nowhere. 13 misses. What about an 18?
Yep. That'll just hit.
18 will just hit. Let's see if I can take these temp HP away. 13 slashing damage.
Oh!
That cleaver bites home.
Raazu's looking pretty bloodied now.
Anybody else before Raazu gets another swing?
Yeah, let's try that 8 again. Just point me at one that isn't bloodied yet.
South.
Okay. So deception.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna blip that.
Burning through those blips.
Oh yeah,
There we go.
that'd be
That's
a
good
17 on deception.
Okay.
So she gets advantage.
Okay. And at this point, I mean, you guys from the sidelines, especially Red and Adrex, I mean, your cheers and your yells from the side are starting to drown out the sounds of the orcs whooping and hollering. All right, Raazu, make that attack with advantage.
Here we go. Oh wow. Oh, I might body this guy. that's a nat 20 right there.
Remember, you
Finish
got if you want to kill him, you've got your spell slots and shit. You can probably put him in the earth.
Well, I got True Strike, which that actually just gives advantage to hit. That is 13.
No, he's saying you can
16.
smite him.
Yeah, that's true. I could do
Yeah,
that.
I was kind of assuming you were gonna start out by smiting, but
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I will do that. 16. So that's another 48 damage. So he's about to have a very bad day.
This orc's about to explode.
Yeah, this last one. All right, so that was 16 slashing damage plus 22 radiant damage.
So you did enough in radiant to kill him outright. So yeah, Raazu just lets out this unearthly cry as she spins around. You guys see the wounds of these cleavers. I mean, these orcs are having difficulty hitting this whirlwind of hobgoblin in the center of them. But when they do, I mean, their bites find major purchase. She just lets out this ungodly cry, and she just cleaves this guy all the way down the middle, from his shoulder, chopping all the way through his armor, down into his midsection, wrenches her halberd away, and this spatter of blood comes flying out of him. The
so
wargs are
before
going
he hits the
absolutely
ground,
crazy.
Red is going to yell out, "That should count for 2."
Birdie just like cheers like super loudly.
For a moment, you think the Orcs are about to step into the fray. They both take a big step towards Raazu, but the captain starts clapping his hands together very loudly. He calls everybody off. He points to the dead one, says, "Feed him to the wargs," and they throw him over to the dogs, who start tearing him apart. The 3 orcs start tending to their own injuries, picking over the dead one for any weapons or equipment that they want to take off of his body.
Raazu plants the piece of ear that she chopped off the one orc. She plants the butt of her halberd on top of that as he tries to pick that part up. And she just shakes her head.
Okay.
Points.
Roll
Shakes her
a charisma intimidation.
Oh man, you don't want to biff this. You end up eating the ear.
It's only a 12.
Okay, well, he doesn't... he lets you have the ear, but he thinks it's kind of strange. The captain walks up, clasping his hands together still. Tells you, there. Now you're no longer a virgin.
What? That doesn't make any sense.
Hobgoblins are very complicated.
He brings Raazu over to the slave pen. And he undoes this chain at the base of it that's tied out to this spike. So they can lift up the side of the slave pen. And 2 orcs have to reach in and wrest this small boy away from his father. One of them has to deal a clout to the side of the father's head to get him to slink back. And this boy is kicking and screaming. Squealing, really. I mean, he's a pig man. What do you expect? Then he drops the pen back down, re-chains it around, and they begin lashing the boy's hands behind his body, as though you're going to march him as a slave. Does anybody stop him from doing this?
No.
Raazu doesn't.
I figure we can cut him loose later.
Okay. So yeah, he puts the rope attached to this young slave boy in Rasu's hands. And he says, when you come back in good news, we shall feast together on the father.
She sets her teeth and nods.
Okay. How long do you guys chill out here at this orc camp before setting out? He
As
gave you...
little as possible.
So you're setting out immediately?
Yeah.
Okay. He gave you directions on where to find these 2 bridges. So they know about where to go for that. Let me pull the world map back up here.
I'm working under the assumption this boy does not speak common at all.
He hasn't so far. You guys are currently here. He says 2 days south by southeast, you'll find a small stream coming out of the foothills at this location here. That's where you'll find these 2 bridges. That's about where they found these 3 prisoners. And he tells you if you can coax out the position of this village and bring him back good information so that his orcs can sack it later, he will absolutely talk up the chain and make sure that the butchers bleed this dragon army as it comes across the fields. And that's it. You guys, the orc camp is in your rearview mirror as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next?
Once we put them a bit in the distance, I go, so our plan is to go recruit the pig people and then go feed all those orcs some goat, right?
Yeah.
Let's just start murder them all.
Having any kind of conversation over the cries and squeals of this inconsolable pig child at the moment is very, very difficult.
So as soon as we're out of earshot, the first thing I think we should do is find out if any of the languages we speak are spoken by this pig kid.
The first thing we should do is cut his hands loose.
Yeah.
He's gonna run immediately if we do that.
Who's cutting his
You can
hands
tackle
loose?
him.
He is
Red will.
scared out of his mind.
Just hold on
Okay.
to him.
So Red, you get down with a knife and you cut his hands loose, and immediately he starts beating on your neck and chest, just
That's
bludgeoning
fine.
you as hard as he's a non-combatant child. He doesn't even have
Yeah.
a stat block. So
That's fine.
Can you do as much damage as a house cat? 'Cause if so, Red might be in some danger.
Raazu, do you do anything about your wounds?
I will lay on hands.
Okay.
I'll take 10 points for myself.
I will give him a very small chance to speak any language that you guys do. He doesn't speak any common, whereas we'll assume you've tried that already. And none of you speak Moakton. So what else are
No.
you trying on him?
I mean,
Let's go down the
Draconic.
list.
Draconic? No, he does not
Yeah.
speak Draconic.
How about Goblin?
He gives some indication that he understands a few words of Goblin, strangely enough.
Sylvan?
No, Sylvan doesn't do anything for him. Oh, actually... Make an insight check.
Sure. That'd be a 15.
When he hears you speak to him in Sylvan, he doesn't respond to you, but he does say a few words in Sylvan that you recognize to mean, "White mothers save me." He repeats that a couple of times. "White mothers save me, white mothers save me." But you don't get any indication that he understands what he's saying. He doesn't speak the language. He just knows these words as though by ritual.
I'll share that with the group.
How does he feel about Orin and Primordial?
No, he definitely doesn't speak Aura or Primordial. A couple
And
words of
giant.
Goblin, though. He does. He recognizes the giant language, but you get the sense that he doesn't speak it.
Okay.
What are you guys attempting to do to calm him down?
Give him some food and water.
So what are you offering him?
I've got rations unless anyone has anything that's more appetizing.
So I didn't want to mention this, but I did take a bit of that gumbo.
You offer him the gumbo?
I'm gonna offer him some of that gumbo.
And at first, he acts like he thinks it's a trick. Like he shies away from it. But then you just see the hunger in his body, just his physiological need to eat food take over. And he starts ravenously devouring anything that you offer him. And in a few moments, he's just slumped down on the ground, stuffing his face. And he doesn't seem like he notices anything else in the world until he's done eating. At which point,
I was gonna say I'm gonna point out that this has happened with the last two people I've given this gumbo to. I'd say that Wendy's case for being a chef has gotten pretty strong.
it's magic gumbo. Whenever you eat this gumbo, no other food tastes as good again. So you see,
The map.
this
the map
child,
is cursed.
he's still beside himself with grief and anguish, but he started to calm down now, and he looks around, and he's starting to understand that none of you mean him harm.
Adrex wants to make sure that they haven't been followed. Like there isn't a scouting party behind them keeping tabs on them.
Let Birdie do that.
Okay.
So Birdie's going to skulk off and see if they're being followed?
Yeah.
Okay, make a wisdom perception check. So he understood a couple words of Goblin. He recognizes the giant language, and he has some kind of ritualistic understanding of at least one sentence of Sylvan.
21.
No, to the best of your knowledge, you're not being followed. You don't see any warg riders out there. You check the skies. You don't think winged orcs are a thing, but just in case, you look up, you don't see them. Orcs are known to train like giant vultures and things, but no, you don't see any sign that you're being watched or followed at this point.
That's pretty dumb of them. All right.
So who is our goblin speaker?
It's Raazu.
Well, it's your show.
Yeah. Do you have a name, boy?
When you ask him his name, speaking in Goblin, he's speaking very, very broken Goblin. It's very, very bad and hard to understand, especially with all the crying, and his face is all filled with gumbo still. And all you can make out is he's repeating, "What about my father? What about my father?"
Do you
Can't,
let us know that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at the others and I'm gonna say, I mean, do we really think these pigmen are gonna help us take out those orcs? We could just wait till night, break them out.
It's not a bad idea. He might be dead by the time we get back.
He did
So at
say,
this point,
the captain did say that we were going to feast on him together.
Well,
So at this point, I think the idea of getting the orcs to work with the lizard people against the dragon is out of the question. Do we all
The
agree
ship
on
seems
that?
to have sailed.
yeah.
So the only thing we have to do is keep them from thinking that the lizard folk had anything to do with the slave disappearing. If we do that, and make sure that they're willing to maintain their non-aggression pact, correct?
I think they might have put 2 and 2 together if we fail to come back with this village.
Believe me, Wendy, I don't like the odds either. But I just want us all to agree that what we're trying to do is that.
Yes.
One more time.
And Wendy
So at
brightens
this-
up a bit and then says, well, they won't know that it was the lizardmen if we kill all those orcs.
It's not the worst idea. At this point, our goal is simply to keep the non-aggression pact and tribute between the lizard folk and the orcs, and no more. We can't, in good conscience, make any sort of negotiation unless we find something else to bargain with.
Yeah.
Sounds accurate to me.
So we have to make sure that they won't connect freeing this boy's father to us, and we'll also potentially have to negotiate with some orcs. You are absolutely correct, Wendy, in order to get word back to them that the truce is still on and the tribute is still happening.
At this point, Raazu, you realize the young boy is trying to say the goblin word for water.
Raazu provides her water skin.
And he drinks greedily. So what's next?
Well, I think that at the very least we should take him back to be with his own kind.
I guess the choice is whether we're going to break this kid's father out now or later. Because if the answer is now, we'll bring him back once we get his father out. And it would probably be easier at that point.
I mean, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, Wendy, that we should simply kill all the orcs that know about this and then try and negotiate with another group, as long as it can't be traced back to the lizardmen. They don't.
Unfortunately, there's a big old lizardman boat in their.
We just take the
They're
boat with
camp
us when we
now.
leave.
Well, we just don't kill them with any lizard man spears.
So, how far do you think the Warg Riders move, and how long, Raziel, you know the most about orc tactics, before other orcs would know about our encounter with those orcs?
Raazu,
have to-
make a knowledge. We'll call it either history. No, let's just call it history.
Oh, again, she didn't pay attention in class. That's only an 8.
I would like to point out that the two Warg Riders that escorted us in left.
Right, no, that's what those are the ones I was talking about.
Ah, okay.
As best you can figure, Raazu, their little patrol is mobile. Looks like they can break down their tents and their fires and whatever and stick back up wherever they need to. Most likely, though, he's got 2 of those Warg Outriders out their perimeter at all times. Those 2 will go out and do a full sweep, come back, rest their wargs while 2 more go out and ride. More information than that on how fast they can move or how much ground they can cover, you're not sure. You know that if they're going to carry this tribute with them, they're not going to be able to match your overland speed. They won't be able to move faster than that wagon can move.
So as long as we get in between them and the mountains...
Well, we don't necessarily know that the mountains are where they're going, but here's my thought.
Yep.
If we go in there and we kill all of them,
Yep.
Then we wait for the next set of riders to come back and take them down before they can get word back out. And then we make it look like one of these ritual killings by tracing that same sigil we found with the kobolds into the ground and doing whatever we can to make it look like that fight. Then we can take the cart, move it out of here, and try and find another orc group to parlay with.
Yep. That sounds good to me.
Is that the plan?
I don't like the idea, but I can't present a better one.
If any of you need to get out of there, do your best to flee, and I'll cover you from the sky. I like my chances at being faster than them, and I've always meant to race a war.
I think Birdie and I can sneak in and maybe slit a few throats before they raise the alarm. If we can get in by night.
So wait till nightfall, and then sneak back into the camp and cause some havoc?
Well, let's be clear. We have no interest in causing havoc. We have to kill every single orc. This isn't really...
And Wendy puts her claws on her longbow and goes, so the parlay did come down to song then.
Seems like it.
There is no stealthing with Adrex.
Right, but I think the two of us can sneak in, start things. I will blow my horn, which only you will be able to hear, Adrex, and that will be your signal.
Alright. Okay.
I don't know what we do with the boy until then, though.
That was going to be my next question.
But we have to, if we're going to do this, we should do it tonight before there's better chance of other groups of scouts talking with these ones.
So what are you all doing until nightfall? I mean, it's still like mid-morning or just before noon, essentially.
Man, a short rest sounds like a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we take a rest. We find like a relatively hidden position that we can leave this boy in. Maybe tie
Does he
him
know
up?
enough? No, I wouldn't tie him up, but do you think he knows enough that you could tell him to stay here and we'll come back for him?
He's not going to stay here. I wouldn't stay here.
Well, if we
Worst
tell him
case
we're going to
scenario,
save
would
his father.
He can't move that quickly, like overland. Worst case scenario, Wendy can find him if he runs off.
Unless he gets himself killed.
It's safer to be here than with us assaulting the orcs.
Can you do something like some sneaky stuff? Put him to sleep?
I don't share a language with him. I could make him do my bidding, but actually, Adrex, can you tell? Or sorry, who Raziel? You speak orc. You speak goblin, right?
Yeah.
See if the boy knows the goblin words for the phrase. Let me think. Wait here until we return. See if you can get him to understand that.
All right. Raazu will turn to the boy and say, "We're going to rescue your father. Wait here until we return." Gesturing and such.
You
So
see
is
him
the plan
continuing
to-
to nervously look back over his shoulder, back in the direction the captain indicated his village is.
I just
But he
need
doesn't say anything in response.
I just need to know if A, he understands, and B, I need you to phonetically get me to be able to say those words. And then I will take care of the rest when we're ready to go. Can I do an insight to see if he actually got the meaning of that?
He understood what was said because he mentioned,
Okay.
"Stay here, we're going to get your father," and then he looked towards home.
Okay. That's all I need to know then. We can let's batten down for night. Before we go, I'll do something about the boy.
I need to look up the stat blocks for a bunch of creatures I didn't think I'd be using this session, but okay.
What are you talking about? You've had them.
I had some of them. Wargs have a lot of move speed, my goodness.
Man. Are we sure we don't want to go to his village?
my concern is that if we give the orcs any time to spread the word.
Spread the word.
Everybody go ahead and take the benefits of your short rest. And you're going to roll up in there. Well, you're going to send some scouts up in there after nightfall. Is that the plan?
Well, first, I am going to cast Suggestion on the boy, and repeating the words in Goblin to wait here until we return. Give me a second to tell you what the saving throw DC is on that, because...
Okay.
Is it 8 plus proficiency plus ability?
Mm-hmm. Generally.
Okay.
Yes.
So that would be a DC of 14
And he
for wisdom.
Big fail.
Okay. So for 8 hours, he's magically compelled to do that.
Which, I mean, if we're not back here in 8 hours, it's probably not a problem.
Exactly. And unless anyone has a better idea, I think Birdie and I sneak up and you guys lay low, and I'll blow my horn once we are in position. So only Adrex can hear it.
Okay. Let's go ahead and... Here, I'll get the... There's going to be a different layout of orcs when you guys get
That's
back.
weird. It's almost like before it wasn't meant for a battle to happen.
I did make sure to keep careful number of how many orcs were here at various times of day, just in case. And we'll go ahead and take our break here.
Make sure you -1 that orc, by the way.
I did. Don't worry. Already
That's
done.
that's another reason I was just assuming you would do more smiting and killing during that fight, just in case.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take our break. We'll reconvene at 4:15, and we will TPK. It'll be great.
All right, we're not going to TPK. I'm faster than a warg.